I spent 13 years at Keller Williams. I became a mentor for new agents at my market center. I got tapped to coach agents all over the country. I was about as all in as an agent can be. And then I watched this business completely change. I watched it move online, and I watched my brokers refuse to move with it. So I left KW. If you're trying to figure out where to start your career, the reason I walked away is going to matter to you more than any split or any cap available, because it has nothing to do with Keller Williams being a bad company. It has everything to do with where this business is going. My name is Coach K. I've been in real estate since 2004, and I've coached agents across the entire country. Brand new agents starting from zero all the way up to agents doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in gross commission. And one of the biggest decisions I've watched shape an agent's career, for better or worse, is the same one I had to make for myself after 13 years. Where you plant your license and when it's time to walk away. To understand why I walked away, you have to understand how all in I was. For 13 years, being loyal to KW and being loyal to my own growth were the same thing. This isn't the story of a guy who had had one foot out the door the whole time. And the timeline matters here. I've been in real estate since 2004, but KW isn't where I started. It's where I spent 13 of those years, and it was my last home in the business before I moved to EXP in 2022. I'm grateful for that time, and a lot of who I am as an agent was shaped inside the Keller Williams model. I built real relationships there. When my market center needed someone to build a program for new agents, I raised my hand, and we built a whole new agent system from the ground up with real mentors and real structure. That work meant something to me, so when I tell you I left, understand that I left a place that I poured myself into. When I got into the real estate business in 2004, the whole business was old school to the core. It ran on phone calls, open houses, and door knocking. That's how everyone did it, and for years it worked. Then the way you reach people started to change, and it didn't happen overnight. It came with social media. Facebook went from a novelty to everywhere, then Instagram, and eventually TikTok. And somewhere around 2016, maybe 2018, online advertising for leads through platforms like Zillow, Google, and LinkedIn took over the real estate market. An online presence went from a nice extra to something you couldn't compete without. And the more I watched it, the more obvious it became. Digital wasn't only essential. It was one of the most effective tools an agent has ever had. One strategy applied online could put you in front of more people than a full day of cold calls or a packed networking event ever could. I could see exactly where this business was heading, and I wanted to build it there. Here's where it broke for me. Keller Williams had no real interest in moving into that space, and that stunned me because Gary Keller himself, one of the founders of KW, stood on stage one time and told the whole world that KW is going to be a technology company that serviced real estate, not a real estate company. Now, I'll give credit where credit's due. KW built Command, their CRM, and it's a genuinely phenomenal platform. But the thing that matters most to a new agent, things like generating leads, building a presence, branding yourself, and getting known, they had almost nothing to offer. Their entire answer was to just post regularly. And that was it. Nothing on how to brand yourself on social, nothing on how to build out a YouTube channel, nothing on how to capture an online lead, and nothing on how to convert it once you had it. You were handed a logo, left to figure out the most important part of a modern business completely on your own. So I did what I always did. I went to them. More than once I said, we need to move into this space and we need to stop dismissing the cloud-based models and instead start learning from them. The answer was always the one I'd been hearing for years. Go learn it, bring it back, and teach our agents. Sit with how backwards that is. A brokerage only makes money when its agents produce. You would think a company with that much writing on your output would invest in training that gets you producing. Instead, they wanted me to research it all on my own, pay for it up front on my dollar, and then bring it back and hand it to the market center for free. Even their advanced training platforms came with a price tag attached. A company built on your production, charging you to learn how to produce, never sat right with me. There's a personal piece to this too. The coaching I did at KW was one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done in my career. I coached new agents locally and I coached higher producing agents nationally, and I loved every part of it. Helping someone get started in this business is one of the best things I've ever done. But the market center's number one goal was to retain agents. And when money got tight, the cut always came from the same place, the pay to the mentors, position I held for all of those new agents. I played the political game and chose my battles, and the ones I had a real shot at winning, I went after. But year after year, as the overhead squeezed everything, the people teaching and developing the agents were the first ones getting shorted. It just no longer made financial sense. So I finally ran the numbers the way I'd coach you to run them. The cost only climbed. As the market center struggled on volume, they charged the agents more without value. I was paying over $100 a month in dues, and on top of that, a cap that ran $32,000 a year just to stay at KW. And my business was stagnant, not shrinking, but not growing either. All the while, they kept asking me for more and more of my time. A flat return on a rising cost is a fat no thank you. Once I saw it on paper, I couldn't unsee it. The brokerage I called home for 13 years had become the line item with the worst return in my entire business. Hear me out for a second, because this is the part that's actually about you. If you're feeling that quiet pull that something isn't right where you are, I'm not going to tell you to ignore it, and I'm not going to go tell you to act on it tomorrow either. But that feeling is information, and it's worth listening to. What that feeling gets wrong is the conclusion most agents jump to. They think leaving means they failed, or that they're being disloyal, or maybe they wasted their time there. None of that is true. A brokerage is a tool. It exists to support the business you're building and nothing more. When the tool stops keeping up with where the work is going and it costs you more every year to hold on to it, you change the tool. That reframe took me far too long to reach, and I'm handing it to you years earlier than I got it. Now, here's what I want you to take from how I left, because it matters more than why I left. I didn't storm out. I didn't sign with the first recruiter who called me with a better split. I gave myself a real process. 9 months. I sat down with brokerages across every major model before I committed to anything. I started with brick and mortar brokerages because that's what I was familiar with, and most of them are pretty much the same company, just with a little bit of a different logo. Then I looked hard at cloud-based models. I asked everyone the same questions, and I wrote all those answers down side by side, because the most important business decision of my career deserves more than a gut reaction. That's the standard I want you holding yourself to, whether you're choosing your first brokerage or weighing your next one. So here's the truth under this whole story. Now, I don't want any of this to land as KW being a terrible company, because it isn't. It works well for a specific agent, someone who wants to run their business the old school way with technology kept simple. If logging into your CRM and sending a templated email is the extent of what you need, KW does well for that. But if you want to leverage technology and grow with where this business is heading, a cloud-based brokerage is the direction. If you know you need physical space, then there are tech-enhanced brick and mortar options in the middle worth looking at. There's no wrong brokerage, only a wrong fit. I left KW because it was no longer built for the agent I was becoming. Now, the question everybody asks me next is the obvious one. Where did I go and why? I'll give you the short version right here, because this video is why I left, not a pitch for where I went. Out of every model I looked at over those 9 months, one of them did two things at once. It lowered my costs and it opened the doors to the digital space I had been trying to build for years. And that was EXP. And I'll give you one piece of it now, because most agents miss it completely. At EXP, the upline you sign under matters as much as the brokerage itself. The right one adds training and resources well beyond what the company gives you on its own. Mine is built around technology and AI, which is exactly what I went looking for when I left KW. If you want the full breakdown of why I chose it, I made a separate video on that, and I'll point to it at the end of this one. Before you go, here's your one move for this week, and it's the same exercise that finally made my decision obvious. Write down everything you pay for your brokerage in a year. Dues, fees, your cap, training costs, all of it. Then, next to that number, write down what it's giving you that's actually growing your business. The cost is climbing, the growth is flat. You don't need anyone to tell you what to do next. That page tells you everything. And if you want an extra set of eyes on that decision before you sign anything, that's exactly what I do for the agents I work with. I'm building a community for newer agents with regular coaching calls and real support on the decisions that shape your business during the first few years. And it can be available to you for free. If you want, click the link in the description below and let's get on a one-on-one call. Bring whatever you're weighing and bring all your questions. I'm gonna have 2 videos coming on the screen right now. This one is why I chose EXP. If you want the other half of this story, that's where I break down exactly what made the call for me after looking at every model on the market. The second one walks you through what most brokerages won't tell you about the support they offer new agents, and it'll make you a sharper interviewer no matter which direction you're leaning. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Coach K. I'll see you in the next video.